Greetings fellow earthlings and welcome to this tiny garage. Welcome back everybody, and I wanted to start off today by saying a big hello to Mike Bell. Hello Mike. Mike is the newest member of the Tiny Garage, and for all of you member people out there, there is a new member video coming out tomorrow. Anyway, so the question today is, which evil international conglomerate bribed me to tell you that this is a good product? Well, as it turns out, it was you kind folk out there who unanimously told me that this was a great product and I just needed to get one. So I got one on Amazon. This is it. And you're right, it is awesome. Locally, I couldn't find anything even remotely like the Motive Power Bleeder. Now online, certainly if you want to pay more, there are other options. But after feeling the joy of this product, I decided I would send a kindly message to the corporate office of Motive Products in, New York or Beijing or wherever. But to my surprise, Eric, just up the road in Santa Cruz, California, called me right back. And it turns out that this was developed by a man called Matt, so that he could more easily bleed the brakes on his 3 Series BMW right before he thrashed it around a racetrack every weekend. Matt retired in 2008 and he sold this company to 2 certified gearheads, Eric and Mario. And Eric and Mario have been kind enough to offer a discount code to all of us. If you enter Man in a Garage at checkout, you will receive 10% off the complete range of Motive products.
Hold on, what's the dog doing? Oh yeah, subscribe now. Delta says thank you. Quick recap then, what is the bleeding order? This concept applies to most cars, it seems. This Porsche that we happen to be working on is kind of weird in many ways, but the braking and the clutch system are very boring and average, thankfully. So this could be any car. We will make it look a little bit more Porsche, just for fun. Kind of looks like a Lamborghini Miura for a second there. Alright, there we go. It's a Porsche, I promise. Here is where the brake fluid reservoir is. It's also used for the clutch fluid. And the general concept is that is the longest pipe going to the passenger rear. So we do that one first. And then the pipe that goes to the driver's rear is the next longest. So we bleed that one second. On the passenger front, that is the next shortest. And then this tiny itty bitty one on the driver's front is the last one to get bled. For us today, we also have the clutch slave cylinder on the bleeding to-do list. Utilizing this logic, that will be second up to bat. These Porsche calipers have 2 bleed nipples on them. They're a little bit fancy. Doesn't really matter though, we just start on the outside one and then do the inside one. This of course is the passenger rear caliper. It's an 11mm wrench on those bleed nipples. That little pipe comes with the Motive brake bleeder. They do have these fancy catch bottles you can get that make the job even easier. Next then, just to make sure we don't get any of the brake fluid where it's not supposed to go, we are putting some cloths down. Brake fluid makes a great paint stripper, so you want to be careful where it goes.
Hello, darkness, my love.
You're watching me make a mistake here. It seemed to make sense to put the cap on and then connect it to the pump, but no, you should connect the cap to the pump and then connect the cap to your car. Also, prior to putting the cap onto the reservoir, I twisted it counterclockwise a handful of times so that when I had finished tightening it in a clockwise direction, the hose would be untwisted. To unlock the pump handle, you just push it in a little bit and turn it to the left. Some of the caps say oil here on them. The design has since been updated, and so you don't need to oil anything. There is 0 maintenance on your Motive Power Bleeder. And to begin with here, just going to do a pressure test. This was 1.5 minutes, about 150 pumps. That got us up to about 4 psi or 0.3 bar. using the Windex there to see if there's any leaks. There was a leak in those brass fittings, but really it was just because I hand tightened them. You're supposed to use wrenches. So here I did put some PTFE tape on them, but there's no need. If you use the 14 and 17mm wrench like you're supposed to, it will seal just fine and you're all good. I checked for leaks again at 5 psi, everything was good. It held that pressure for at least 5 or 10 minutes, so we're going to move on. To release the pressure, just loosen the cap on the fluid reservoir and let the pressure out.
So which dot number of brake fluid should you use in your car? And well, the short answer to that one is just to use the one that the manufacturer of your car recommends. On the market today, the most common brake fluid types available are dot 3, dot 4, dot 5 and dot 5.1. Now the dot part of it just means that the Department of Transportation had their paws on this at some stage. Dot 3 and dot 4 are both different versions of chemistry that both result in a liquid with a high boiling point. Dot 5 is a different version of chemistry based on silicon that's not compatible with dot 3 or dot 4. And then dot 5.1 is a hybrid chemistry of both traditional and silicon type that is potentially mixable with other kinds of brake fluid. What's the difference between dot 3 and dot 4 then? Well, the short answer is boiling point. Dot 4 has a chemical composition that results in a boiling point of 230 degrees Celsius. Dot 3 has a slightly different formulation that results in a slightly lower boiling point of 205 degrees Celsius. Now dot 4 does have a downside. Its chemical composition results in it being approximately 20% more hygroscopic than dot 3. As a result of that, you should expect to replace your dot 4 fluid more often to combat that moisture absorption. Now, one question I had is, if the brake system is sealed, where is all this water coming from? And what I learned is that even if your braking system is in tip-top shape, those rubber pipes that allow your wheels to turn and to bounce up and down are also on a microscopic level allowing moisture into your braking system.
Hit the notification bell, it's up there.
Yes, please.
What's so wrong with a little bit of liquid water in your liquid brake fluid, you may ask? Even on the most exuberant school run, your average braking system is not going to get hotter than 200 degrees Celsius. 200 degrees Celsius is certainly below the boiling point of brake fluid, but we can agree is well above the boiling point of water. And the point is, even the tiniest amount of water in your brake fluid will cause it to boil at increasingly lower temperatures. And you don't have to be a racing driver to feel it. If you're towing something heavy or even piloting mountainous terrain, can push your braking system to its limits. When brake fluid boils, it creates bubbles of gas, just like a boiling kettle. And those bubbles of gas, unlike brake fluid, are compressible, and that's what creates that spongy pedal feel and possibly those fleeting moments of terror. Now, on the average school run, that won't really matter too much, but if you're racing a race car, that braking system can achieve temperatures in excess of 500 degrees Celsius, which happens to be well in the range of the temperature of fire. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the hygroscopic nature of brake fluid is also why you should always use brand new brake fluid, and then when you're done with the remainder, dispose of it in an environmentally friendly manner. Now, it's worth mentioning that on this car, Porsche recommend the Porsche blend of dot 4 brake fluid.
To get going here, I'm just going to put the full liter of brake fluid into the power bleeder and then start pumping it up. In truth, you don't really need these cloths. With the power bleeder, I didn't get any brake fluid on me or anywhere else. It was incredibly clean and very quick and easy. Right, here we go. It took about 5 minutes to get this up to 1 bar, or about 15 psi. For the Porsche, it's recommended you don't exceed 1.5 bar. But really, as long as the fluid moves, which starts as low as 5 psi, you're good. The more pressure you put on, kind of the faster it'll go. Prepare for an anticlimax, folks. All you do is open the bleed nipple. You wait till you see the newer fluid, and if there's no bubbles, you close it, and that's it. You move on. This brake fluid is in great shape, so you really can't tell the difference between the old and the new. So I did the outside one like that. The previous owner had receipts for a full brake job on this car right before the engine gave out. And looking at this really fresh brake fluid with no bubbles, I'd believe it. In the inside one, and that's it. And then you just do that, following the pattern we looked at earlier, and you're done. That's all there is to it. The clutch slave cylinder doesn't get any special treatment. You open it till you see fresh fluid and no bubbles, then you close it and move on. You could use a turkey baster here, but I'm using this battery-powered pump to suck out the excess brake fluid and get the level in between the maximum and minimum marks.
This Motive Power Brake Bleeding tool easily turns what was normally a messy two-person job into a quick and fun one-person job. So we can all drive safer cars and have more time for the fun stuff. And unfortunately, that is all we have time for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.